Okay, we are lesson 15, keyboard input on code.org. This is period 2B on November the 16th. So let's go ahead and look at this lesson really quick. And we're going to go through the first little bit of it. And then you guys will be able to do hopefully the rest on your own. So everyone who's in person and those of you watching at home, recommend that you close other browsers and don't get distracted. Close your Chromebooks down and let's pay attention. Yes, no. Not necessarily, because I don't want you to get lost if you're trying to do it and pay attention at the same time. Good question. All right, so question of the day. How can our programs react to user input? Following the introduction to Booleans and if statements in the previous lesson, students are introduced to a new block called key down, which returns a Boolean and can be used in conditional statements to make sprites move around the screen. By the end of the lesson, they will have written programs to take keyboard input from the user to control sprites on the screen. So only one thing in new code, key down, simple command there. See if you can predict how the key down block works. You will not write any code. Read the program carefully, make a prediction about what will happen when you press the space bar and write it in the box below. Be specific. Run the program. While the program is running, press the space bar on your keyboard. Were you correct? Were you surprised? Discuss with a classmate. Okay, so here is the code right here. So what do you think is going to happen when you push the space bar? I'll pause this recording so that those of you in class will be able to do this and you don't have to watch us discussing this. Okay, we had a few theories that were presented. So we're going to kind of summarize them by saying that on the canvas, there will be some text. When you push the space bar, the text will change. Okay, we had some people that talked about how the text is going to move to 200, 200 when we push the space bar. We had one person talk about there's an alien, and when we push the space, we're going to see text appear. Someone else who said there's going to be some text in the console.log. So let's go ahead and see what's actually going to happen. We see false. And then when we push spacebar, it changes to true. Okay. So what's happening is this key down space is giving us the value of false, and that's what it's displaying until we actually push the key down of spacebar, and that's when it will display true. Okay, so this is what's called a Boolean operator. The fact that it returns a Boolean value. Okay, so this program uses key down block to detect whether specific keys are being pressed down. So run the code and try pressing the P and H keys. Look inside the if statement to see how the code works. Add a block inside the third if statement to change the animation to a different animal. Okay, so on here we have a giraffe. When we push the P, we get a pig. And then when we push the H, we get a hippopotamus. Okay, so now we got the R key. So if we look under animation, the other one that we have is a rabbit. So if we want to change the animation to be rabbits. Yeah, that's what I wanted, is a rhinoceros. So then we run. If we hit R, we get a rabbit. If we hit P, we get pig. We hit H, we get a hippo. Now, if we wanted to go back to giraffe, what would we have to do?
Create another if statement.
We need another conditional statement. We need an if statement. And we would say if key down G, or I mean, you can make it anything. You can make it space, you can make it right arrow, you can make it A and throw people off. Ooh, I want to see an aardvark or an anteater. Oh, just kidding. It's a giraffe. No. All right, moving sprites. You can change your sprite's position based on key presses the same way you change its animations. Add an if statement inside your draw loop. Check whether the right arrow has been pressed. Add code inside the conditional to move the sprite right if the right arrow is down. Do you need to change sprite's X or Y property to move it right? What do you guys think, X or Y? X, okay? We are using, all right, so here's our sprite, our little ladybug here. Are we using random numbers or counter pattern here? Counter pattern, right? So we do the sprite and it's named bug. Notice again, once again, I'm going to point this out. You set up the variables in the beginning, and then in the draw loop, you're going to update its property. So we're going to say bug.x equals bug.x plus 1, right? Okay. Now, what did I forget? Is it supposed to be moving on its own? No, I'm supposed to hit the arrow in order to move it. Okay, so I need an if statement. Oh, it's gone. Dang it. Need an if statement that I then will only move it when what happens? When I press the right arrow. Okay, so key down. Okay, I just click on this arrow and I select right. And so now my bug only moves when I push the right arrow. Look at that. Then when I let go, it stops moving. Okay? So we can get it to move in any direction using this same thing, right? And that's what they're going to have you do in the next few puzzles is, well, this one's going to have the rotation. But eventually, later on in the lesson, you'll figure out how to get the ladybug to move in any direction, up, down, left, and right. Okay, so this one, we'll do this last one, and then I'm going to set you loose. You'll have half an hour about. Okay, so these are moving. So you need to add code that checks whether the space key is being pressed, and you want it so that they only rotate when the key is pressed, right? So in here, we're going to put all three of these inside of my if statement. So if key down, and what's it going to be? Space. And then we've got to put all three of these inside here. So 1, 2, and 3. So now when I run it, they're not moving. And when I push the space bar, they start to move. Okay? Any questions on these? Seems pretty simple, right? Yeah, 20, whatever. Okay? So this is the first 5 of 8. So hopefully you can get through the practices and challenges on your own. But we're working on lesson 15. So those of you turning into the video, this is our conclusion. If you have questions, email Mr. Twining or talk to me on Fridays. So good luck.